Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Well, I'm back at the lathe. Not that I've actually been away from the lathe. I spent the last week turning snowmen. And I already have a snowman video, so I didn't see any need for another. But now I'm back doing what I like to do, which is turn bowls. And it feels good, so I'm uncomfortable with spindle turning. So I found this piece of alder. So it's going to be a natural edge bowl. And setting it up here on the lathe, I noticed this big crack. And so I filled that with CA. And then when I did that, I noticed that I still have some pith in here. And when I put glue in the pith hole, it ran right down here, right onto my live center. Now on this end, there is no pith. So that's a good thing. I'm going to have to cut that out of there, I suppose. So that means I'm going to have to come up here about 3/4 of an inch or so to get that pith out on this end. This crack I don't think is a real bad problem. It goes to about here, which is about 1 inch away from the end. And I'll probably end up cutting most of that away anyway. So I don't think that's much of an issue. So I've got it mounted on a woodworm screw in my chuck. I'm going to be turning as usual with my 5/8" bowl gouge, freshly sharpened. And I can't wait to get cracking. So stick with me. Going to be turning at 525 RPM because this is just a little out of balance. Thought I'd take just a minute to talk about something I just discovered. For you old pros, this is something you probably know. I wouldn't call myself an old pro. I've been turning for about 3 years, I guess. Pretty steady. Anyway, like I said, this is on a woodworm screw up here with tailstock support, live center. And I just decided to check my live center for tightness. And I had to advance the ram, not much, a half a turn, a little more. And I've always noticed that that's the case. I never really thought about why exactly. But I think the reason why is because as I'm turning this and the woodworm screw encounters force, it gets tighter on that woodworm screw, which pulls the piece towards the headstock and away from the live center. And I think that's why you need to retighten this once in a while. Advance your ram a little bit. Just a tiny bit of information that I just discovered and thought you might find handy. Okay, so we're making some headway here. There's my pith. Just about to the end of it. I hope that crack doesn't give me a problem, but like I said, I don't think so. Comes up here about 1 inch. So I'll get back to work on this. I'm going to take a minute and sharpen that gouge. Boy, I need to sharpen again. Take my diamond point tool and turn this into a dovetail. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now and go back to work on the profile. Well, I kind of liked what I had going here, so I'm going to come back in here and dish this out before I go back up the side. Boy, you think I need to sharpen again? I do. That's 3 times. I've only been on it for half an hour. Alright, I'm getting my sides up a little higher like I wanted. And I like this look. This doesn't have to be quite this wide. So I can come up a little higher there. I wish I was just a tad more artistic. Problem is I don't even know what I want, so I don't know how to attain something I'm not sure of. I think I want these 2 wings to stick out equally from the body. And this one's still a little short, but we're getting there. But I don't know if I like these straight sides. I do like this. I think I'm going to have to come in here a little further so that I've got some more side to take away. And I'm just about going to have to sharpen again. Man. I'm going to sharpen. I'm losing my base here a little bit as I thin it out to make this curve so that I can make this some sort of shape. So I'm going to go back to work and hollow this out some more, leaving it a little bit wider so that I can come back in because I still need more here. Plus I need some cleanup. I did just sharpen the gouge, so I should be able to get a little cleaner cut. Also speeded it up to 900 RPM. Woo! And that looks a lot better. It's amazing what a sharp gouge will do. Yeah, I think that looks a little better. Looks like something intentional anyway. I think we're ready to sand. Well, I've sanded up through 400 grit, and this is silky smooth. Pretty happy with it. It's got a few bug holes, not like some that I've done. Also has this crack that developed. It doesn't go far. Dead ends right here. And I guess I wish it didn't have it, but it's not the end of the world. Doesn't bother me that much. Especially with the bug holes. If it was a perfect piece of wood, then maybe it would bother me, but I'm good with it. So now I'm about to apply the first of several coats of sanding sealer. And this always makes the wood look pretty nice. It also raises the grain. The first coat always leaves it a little rough. So I always sand or use steel wool between coats depending on the piece. This one I'll probably use steel wool on it. I've applied 3 coats of sanding sealer. I use a Zinsser Seal Coat, which is a thinned down shellac product, and I'm real happy with the outcome. In fact, I may stick with the shellac as a finish. Not sanding sealer, but regular shellac, not thinned out. I've used it before on Alder like this, and it turns out quite nice. It's a pretty hard finish. So it's time to get this thing off the woodworm screw and mount it onto my dovetail tenon, and I'll do that next. What I like to do, I do this the same way always, is bring up my tailstock before I tighten up the tenon in the chuck jaws, and that way I can get pressure applied to the jaws from the tailstock before I tighten this up, and that assures me that it's seated all the way in there and that it's as tight a fit as I can get, centered as I can get it. I will start about there, about 960 RPM. So I'm going to put a fresh edge on the chisel, get my mask and face shield on, and we'll go at it. The 2 lower points are thicker than the higher points, so in order to alleviate that problem, I need to come in here a little straighter sides, and that'll bring this down. But I don't want to get this much thinner than it is, a little bit maybe. Yeah, that's bringing that down. Full cut. I'm pretty happy with that. Still need to keep going deeper here. I'm probably about 3/16 up here, maybe even a little under that, and about a 1/4 inch down here. So I want to kind of work my way down while I still have something in the middle here to support my cuts. Looking good. I was able to pick my speed up to about 1150. I don't think I'm close to the bottom, but doesn't hurt to check, does it? No. I'm about 2 inches from this low point, and I've got about 1 inch to go here. But this is no time to go through the bottom, so I do like to be careful. I'm going back over to the side here. I think I'm also going to go sharpen up. Yeah. You know, I just cannot say enough good things about the one-way Wolverine sharpening jig. I know we've all heard it a million times. A sharp tool makes it so much easier, and it does. And that jig pretty much takes all the guesswork out of it, and just puts a hair edge on there. I used all kinds of different ways, mostly a belt sander, a 1-inch belt sander. I used that for quite a while, and it'll get it sharp, but it won't be consistent. This is just put it in the jig, one pass, sharp as can be, easy peasy. Got about a 1/2 inch to go in the bottom. I'm watching my fingers down here, pretty close to that outside edge. What fun would it be if you didn't injure yourself on every project, right? At least once. Looks like I need to start about here and go down. I got a little bump right there. Got about half of it. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm liking that. I think that's where I want to be. The bottom is pretty good. I got a couple of tool marks down there. I think I'll just scrape out this corner, and then we'll be ready for sanding. I think I'm going to have to put a fresh edge on this scraper too. Alright, I think we got it. Ready for sanding. Well, I've sanded through 400 grit, and I'm telling you, the inside of this thing is just silky smooth. I couldn't be happier with it. There's no tool marks, no torn grain. There is a few bug holes, and sometimes it can be hard to tell the bug holes from torn grain, so I had to actually put on my glasses and look hard. But they're just bug holes. And that kind of natural stuff just doesn't bother me at all. So now I'm just cleaning up the edge here. There's just a slight remainder of bark, which is okay too. I wish there was actually more of it, but there just wasn't any bark on this hardly. But I'm just cleaning up the little bits and pieces around here with 400. And then I'm going to put on, just like I did on the outside of the bowl, I'm going to put on 3 coats of sanding sealer and then finish it up with shellac. 2 or 3 coats of shellac. And I think we're going to have a nice piece when we're done. So I'll see you back here when it's time to turn this around and remove that tenon. Boy, this is nice. I wish you could feel this. I wish, just stick your hand in there. That is so smooth. This is really nice wood to work. Alright, see you in a while. Welcome back. It's been a while. You wouldn't know that from watching the video, but it's probably been a week since I started on this. And then life intervened for a while, and then cold temperatures below freezing. It's only about 40 degrees out here now, but we've got company coming and I'm sick of cleaning the house, so I thought I'd come out here and finish this up, which involves taking off the tenon and a little bit of sanding on the bottom. But I did before I took that little break, I did get 4 coats of shellac on here. That's after 3 coats of sanding sealer. And I can't tell you how pleased I am with the finish on this. The shellac leaves a real nice sheen, a real smooth feel. I wish you could feel this. There's no tool marks, there's no torn grain. You will see the occasional bug hole. But I really like that sheen, and I really like the feel of this. This is what the outside looks like. And it's just smooth as can be. So let's turn this thing around and take the tenon off and call it a day. Now I'm going to do this the same way I do almost all of my bowls. There's the tenon. Needs to come off. I also sort of sadly left this raised area in the center here that needs to come off with it. I got to get below my base that the bowl is going to sit on. So this has all got to go, and of course that's got to go. And as typical, I use I guess I can't really call it a jam chuck, it's just a round piece of wood that I've turned. I did take the time to mark this piece of wood so I can put it back in the same orientation every time. So I've got a line on here, and I've got a line on my chuck jaws, and I just line those up and tighten it up. Doesn't have to be real tight, it's not going anywhere. Then I put a piece of non-slip material on there, and then my bowl goes over that. Slide my tool rest over here out of the way for now and bring up the tailstock. I still have my center. That does a good job of centering it, but it's not perfect. Once I get that snugged up a little bit, I gotta kind of wiggle this around, make sure it's flat on there. Now this is one of the advantages of why I bought this jet lathe. It has an extended nose. A lot of lathes don't have that. A lot of them do, especially the newer ones. Let me see if I can bring you in here a little bit, show you what I'm talking about. So here's the headstock, and then it's got this extended nose, and that gives me clearance for, this is about a 4.5 inch deep bowl. Gives me clearance so it's not coming up here and hitting this or hitting this little shelf over here. And that's a real advantage, I think. Make sure that the clearance here is the same all the way around. So what I do is I just put my thumbnail up here and spin it and see that it's hitting equally all the way around. It's not quite. Let me get this spinning a little bit. You can hear my heater running. I don't know if you can hear this hitting my thumbnail. But it's pretty equal. Now's when I'm starting to wonder, did I leave that bottom thick enough? Guess we'll find out. I kind of like to leave that center raised if I can, and there is sufficient area, so I may leave this This is where you find out if you've got it centered on the chuck up here. But that does feel raised an equal amount all the way around, so I think I'm good. So I'm just gonna start working on this and leave this little area. I guess I don't always decorate the bottom of my bowls, but this is pretty nice. I guess I'll put a couple little grooves in there. With what? With this, I guess. Let me get up here a little tighter. Just going to use a 1/4 inch spindle gouge. Put a couple of grooves in. Maybe I'll put the other one just right at the edge here. Yeah, that looks good. Now I need to switch to a swept back gouge so I can get in there a little closer. So we'll try this 3/8 inch spindle gouge to get in here. I'm just clearing away as much as I can to give my gouge clearance here. That's a little bit rough right here. I'm going to grab some sandpaper, see if I can't smooth that out before I separate this. Maybe we'll do it in reverse. Oh, I can't hardly get my fingers in here. Just trying to smooth that edge where I put my grooves. Much better. I'll finish sanding this off of the lathe, but I might as well do a little bit while I can. I'm happy with that. Whoop. Better go forward for this, huh? Slow it down a little more. Now, as always, I like to cut right through this on the lathe if I can. So I do that by clearing out as much as I can. And then just come in here sideways and apply pressure towards the headstock with the bevel of the chisel. Good sideways pressure, and that'll just cut right through there. And there it is. So that leaves just this very small amount to sand right here. Of course, I will sand it all with finer grit up to 400. So that's the next step. So there we have it. The end has come finally. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I'm very happy with the finish. That might be my new preferred finish. So one more in the book. I do thank you for taking your time to watch. If you like this project, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you would become one. So that's it. For now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Wood Shop, signing off.